Geocaching-maniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
Welcome back to the GeoGearHeads. This is episode 513 of the nearly weekly show about geocaching and geolocation-based games. I'm Darryl W4, back again with Chris of the Northwest.
Well, thank you, Darryl. Nearly weekly. Mostly
I'm
weekly?
saying I'm going back to nearly weekly because we're skipping next week for Thanksgiving.
Yeah. You know, it's not as good as the movie Skipping Christmas, or the book Skipping Christmas, actually. But, you know, skipping Thanksgiving makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because we have to get ready for the Black Friday sales.
That's right. Well, Cyber Monday, right? Who leaves and goes shopping anymore?
You know, I was actually thinking about doing that this year again. I didn't do it, of course, last year. And I think the year before it was... There were some places that did it around here last year, including like the Big Evil Box Store. But
so many that's
it wasn't very
pinned down.
Yeah, this is true. It was not so impressive last year anyway, so you know, no big loss. But I usually like to you know, when I was in my old place, I usually like to walk over to you know, the big red spotty place.
Store? Oh, the red
spot.
Not
that one. Yeah, the red spot store. And then just watch the people basically.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to throw snowballs at that symbol.
Yeah, I would not know.
Just saying.
But you know, anyway, that's what I like to just watch the people go shopping mostly, and you know, wander around. And I admit that's how I actually got into Big Bang Theory, because it was $5 for a season. Actually, I don't think it was even $5. It was some insanely cheap price for the DVDs one year. So I got like all 4 seasons that were available at the time. And I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of fun when you like sit down and watch it. And, yeah, it's not so good when you try to jump in, you know, like in the middle of it and try to, you know, so
even so, I enjoyed it. I think I watched it from the beginning. But yeah, I felt like you could jump into that. There are some shows like that you can jump in without a lot of history and still figure out what's going on and find them enjoyable.
Well, I think wow, we're on a randomized thing. I think the episode that I jumped into is when they were helping Penny with the assembly line for her barrettes or whatever it was.
Yes, Penny.
Which, if you don't have the content, Penny somethings, yeah. But if you don't have the context for any of those people, it's a pretty offensive episode.
Anything with Sheldon was pretty offensive.
This is also true, but yeah, it was pretty, you know, blah. And then there was like one more episode that I tried to watch, and it's like, yeah, this is not a show worth my time. And then I ended up catching the DVDs, gave it another shot, and it's like, okay, yeah, this is pretty funny.
Okay, well, my video is locked up.
I noticed this.
Yeah,
I thought you were just really bored with my story about Big Bang Theory.
Could be. So I'm going to have to reboot because it's going to force me here in a few moments. Luckily,
all right.
Audio is going to keep going for just a few more moments. But so anything you want me to say before I drop off?
So many things that I don't think I have the time to tell you what to say.
Oh, Darryl, it's been a great show. I'll see you next.
Okay, well, that makes it even better. He's channeling, you know, the 90s pop culture. But in any case, we are going to be talking about Trackables tonight, not about DVDs and Black Friday sales. We're talking about Trackables once again. And a whole bunch of stuff comes to mind, so we don't have any real agenda tonight for what we're going to talk about. If you have anything that you want to bring up in the chat, make sure to pop that in there, and we'll... Brylang said, We will call him Stoneface, talking about the Frozen. And Pizza Ninja says, Chris is a cyborg now. No, I think he's just gone. But what's interesting is he hasn't dropped out just yet. So, we'll see. We'll see how long it takes him to come back. But he has finally gone. In any case, today's show is going to be talking about the Trackables, just all kinds of stuff around it. And one of the things that came to mind and why I thought this would be a fun idea is recently I've been getting a lot of comments on the Trackables I did on the back of my car from Muggles. And what's really funny about this whole thing is they'll notice that I have the codes on the back of the car, and there's 4 of the codes. Then go, what is up with these letters and numbers, or whatever they decide to call it, on the back of your car? So I tell them, oh, it's geocaching. And as soon as I say that, the eyes glaze over. No one really knows what to make of that anymore. However, they do tend to sometimes ask questions about, well, what does it do? So then you have to try to explain what trackable discoveries are and how this is, worth putting on your car. So the best I've been able to come up with has been, well, it's kind of like the call signs for ham radio operators. It's not at all like that, but that's the best I can come up with for a muggle to understand what I'm trying to do with the codes on the back of my car. Chris, do you have any better way? Yeah, I know I'm putting you on the spot with this one.
Yes. I've never been asked before. Do
you have the codes on your car or anything?
Yes, one car. Yes, one car.
Okay. Yeah, that's all most of us do, because, we have that one car that is our geocaching car.
Right. Well, mine changes often. It depends on, who's going farthest that day and, who takes the car with the better gas mileage and yada, yada, yada. There's, we've got 4 cars and 4 drivers. So sometimes things get shifted. Nonetheless, no, I've never been asked, and I don't know how I would explain it. I would say it's part of a game of geocaching and used to see, if you want to toss it out there, tracking may not be something that people think, oh, that would be fun. I want people to track me.
And that's the thing is I don't want to call them, the tracking codes, because that gets into creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It especially doesn't sound good when it's coming from the guy who's partially responsible for enforcing things like, security in the company.
Yeah. Huh.
Pickle Ninja says that it's kind of like a Where's George type of thing. Mm-hmm. I don't think any of the people who I've talked to would have a clue what that is. And Brylang asks why we don't want to call them stalking codes.
We should, actually, when they're on the car.
Was gonna say, I might have to do that.
Yeah. The tattoos are more like, well, do I say concentration camp? But I think that might be a bad.
Yeah, definitely a bad analogy.
Thank you.
But yeah, so that's one of my things is I really love having those tracking codes on the car.
Right.
Explaining it to the muggles, not so much.
Tougher. Yeah. It's kind of an inside joke, an inside game.
And since the
a little bit there. Yeah.
Since the pandemic started, I've been getting more of the discoveries out in the wild. We're not doing the events as much, though I did get probably about a dozen discoveries on the trackables on the car.
Mm-hmm.
From Midwest Geobash. That's what it was called. I was like, oh, what was that called again?
That thing you did?
Yeah,
within that
the
place with those
only
people.
mega event I was able to get to this year.
Yeah.
But at least we got to a mega event.
Nice. What makes, I don't know if you mentioned this because, obviously I was gone for a while. What'd they call me? Cyborg Stoneface is back. So,
Yes.
uh,
Well, you did the whole like Max Headroom kind of stutter
okay.
thing when you left. It
Yeah,
was quite impressive.
well, thank you. Um, a trackable code isn't something you can Google to find out what it means. Can you? I mean, if I Googled a tracking code, it usually doesn't come back as a
No,
positive.
but if you did geocaching tracking code, I'm sure you could
Right.
probably get something
But
better.
how many of the car trackables have geocaching on it? Track at geocaching.com.
Most of the commercial ones will have that because they have to have track at geocaching.com. That's part of the regulations for, the tracking codes. But if you do it yourself, which most people, buy the letters or whatever and just do it themselves, then it doesn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Just Finding Our Way says that they have a trackable on the Subaru. It's 4-inch high letters, only been logged twice in the wild.
It's hard to miss those, huh?
Yeah.
I thought something interesting. I was like, well, what if you got those numbers like etched into the window? Right into the back window. There you don't have to worry about the sticker falling off. It'll never come off. But if you sell the car, that tracking code goes with it unless they're willing to replace the window.
Yeah. Well, and I'm actually a little bit nervous about trying to peel off the tracking codes that I put on mine. The vinyl has faded. It's been out there for a year and a half, but it started to fade. So I was thinking about pulling them off and putting a new set on and taking some of what I've learned since and trying to, improve them a little bit. And I'm just afraid to pull it off because I don't know what's going to have happened in fading and everything underneath it.
Well, I'm not so worried about underneath it. Though that may be true. The vinyl becomes brittle once it pulls off. You'll never put it back on anywhere.
Oh no, I was going to remake them.
Right.
Yeah. The ones that I have on my car were ones that we made off the Cricut, and it's an inverse. So we cut the letters out of the vinyl. So it's, for lack of a better description off the top of my head, it's like a pill. It's a rectangle with the rounded corners, and then the letters are cut out of that.
Okay.
So the whole reason we did that is underneath it's black. And then you had a very light gray. Now it's almost a white, but it came close enough to matching the color of the paint on the car that you didn't really notice it too much unless you looked at, it was pronounced enough, but it looked like it was kind of part of the car. And I think that's part of why I've gotten a lot more comments on it now, because now that vinyl has turned white, not gray, and it doesn't match the paint nearly as well. So it's like bright white. Hey, look at me. But I did the white background so that the text would be black, which is easier to scan with things like, Cashly and GeoGo and TV Scan. Which, of course, I tested on all of those when we did it, just to make sure.
Now, I had a car with we'll go ahead and read Brylings here. I had a TB on both my Ford Escapes, the 08 and the 13, but haven't replaced it since I upgraded the Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk. Well, why not?
Because it's pandemic, and who wants to meet other people right now?
So I had a car with deeply tinted windows, and you couldn't see the travel bug from the inside. So I put the travel bug on the outside, and one winter I'm out scraping and realized, oh no, I've scraped off the last two letters from snow, right? Scraping the snow and ice off, and I peeled off two letters. I'm like, uh-oh, this is not good.
No.
Oops, I got to go get another one. So, I mean, they can get easily damaged that way. You gotta be careful and remember where they are. I mean, after you've
Yeah.
had it on your car for a while, you forget that it's even on there.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I switched to my current location, because it's like on the trunk.
Right.
So I never am going to do anything with it there.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the reasons that we wanted to do the Cricket for that is two of the trackable codes that we are using came from stickers that had previously come off on the car.
Oh,
So
interesting.
this gave us a way to remake them and put them on the same
Right.
car.
Right.
But previously they were on the like the rear key light kind of thing, and had come off in car washes and things like that. So it just didn't survive the elements. So putting it back on the tailgate, we found did work better. We haven't had any of those peel off in 2 years. It's also thicker letters than the originals were. That helps significantly.
You mean bolder, bigger letters or thicker
Right,
vinyl?
heavier weight.
Heavier font. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Are you using like a premium outdoor vinyl for?
We are using the. I
Cricket?
think it is a outdoor vinyl, but it's the weatherproof or something like that vinyl.
Mhm.
It's the one that's intended to be used on cars from Cricket. We haven't tried any of the third party stuff,
Mhm.
but there are third parties that will make better quality stuff. Maybe not as easy to use, but its quality is better, so it's not going to fade like these did. It's a little bit more durable. Some of them apply better, but people are using the same stuff on the other plotters.
Bryling, our web designer, does .travel bug curly brackets font weight 900 curly bracket.
If anyone wants to know, it's Helvetica Nuo. I believe I went for heavy.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, old typesetter here. Thank you.
We should get a GeoGearHeads trackable, each print one, the same code, and put it on our car and just watch the mileage shoot up as it's discovered in Michigan, then Washington, then Michigan, then Washington.
Oh, taking the same code?
Yeah.
That would be fun. Well, and that was one of the things that I originally wanted to try to do, but that kind of graphic becomes very difficult on the Cricket because it is a solid material.
Right.
So we decided to try with these first, and I haven't gone back to do another one, but I keep thinking of doing it. And I have a line art version of the GeoGearHeads logo. It is not a heavyweight line.
Right.
It's very, very fragile, and those tore on the car wash, those very thin lines. So that's why I've been reluctant to do that.
Mileage doesn't count for discoveries, only grab and drop.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a good point, Bryling.
Pizza Ninja says, I'm sorry, the Pickle Ninja. Boy, it's funny how he spells things. It looks like pizza, but it's pronounced pickle.
Yeah, it's like that, East Coast thing, I think.
Okay. My trackable license plate once saved me from a parking ticket. I was told how cool it was, and that a cashier couldn't give another cashier a ticket.
Nice.
Interesting.
That's kind of one of those, you get pulled over just so that the cop could talk to you.
Yeah. Now, is that a trackable license plate or a trackable license plate frame? You're going to have to tell us there, Pickle Ninja.
Yeah, well, and there were a few places that did the official trackable geocache
right.
plates.
There were a few
I believe
states.
one was Ontario, Canada. I think New Jersey had done it. There was another state in that region. And then it was something like Nebraska I think was another one that mentioned or that did it, but that was about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, you could, of course, take a travel bug code. That's not the right term. You know what I'm trying to say, and put that on to a customized license plate, onto a vanity plate. You can put that number, and that's exactly what the Pickle Ninja did here. It's a generic trackable license plate.
Right, which those you can put on the front of cars in most of the states.
Mm-hmm.
Some states still require that you have the front plates, so you can pull that off. Yeah, but yeah, that's another handy way to do it.
Brylang says Ontario had a trackable license plate program, but I think it's ended for new participants. Existing plates can be continued to be used.
That makes sense. I can't imagine they sold that many, but
Mm-hmm.
you know. Oh, and then just finding your way says I have a trackable plate on the front of my pickup. It's not Arizona issue, just something GCHQ sold at one time. We don't have a requirement for front plates here. So yeah, that's well, I've seen a few people doing that out here too because we don't have it. What's interesting is when you go into Ohio where they do have the front plate requirement, and so people are all with the front plate, and you're looking at them at the events going, is that a trackable code? And realizing, oh, no.
No, it's just a license plate.
Yeah. Yeah, we do get a lot of Ohio folks coming up for our events.
So, Darryl, there was a time.
Are you sure?
Yes. I was given a trackable. I think I've mentioned this. This is a trackable. Oh, look, it's nearly invisible.
It is.
And it's green. It's the right color there. It's in the shape of Hawaii, but I'm covering over like the big island of Hawaii, but I'm covering over the code there. Here, I could do this. There you go. It's a trackable in the shape of the big island of the inverted big island of Hawaii now. It's the backside that doesn't have a code. Wits End got this.
Jim Stark says Ohio dropped the front plate requirement last year.
Interesting.
But no one noticed because we can't go anywhere because of the pandemic.
That means the cost of your license plates would have dropped by 50%.
No, that's not what that means.
That
means they now have to charge you 50% more because you only have one of them.
Oh, how true. So Wits End got this trackable somewhere, and he logged it online, and almost immediately the guy goes, somebody responded and said, you put in the wrong number. I've got that trackable. He goes, no, I've got it right here, and that's the correct number. No, I have that trackable. Well, come to find out that at a meet and greet in Hawaii, a guy printed up a bunch of these, acrylic trackables, all with the same number.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. There's, something that you don't see every day. And it is an interesting conundrum to have, two or who knows how many trackables all with the
there
same
were
number.
A few of those that happened several years ago. I think Geo Woodstock, Gigastock was one of them that was happening around. They printed up a bunch of the codes for the same code on a bunch of the trackables they were giving out to promote it for the person who actually was passing them out. So the ambassador would have their own code, and they were passing out multiple coins, multiple mini coins with it. That I know didn't go over very well, but they weren't the only ones to do it. Certainly not the first.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember what happened with it, but I know that GCHQ got involved, and there's now some kind of rules about being able to do that they've written into the terms. So like you can do it for things like the baseball cards, the going caching baseball cards. Sure. But that always made a lot more sense to me. And I don't know why a shared tracking number on something like a signature item like that makes more sense than on a geocoin. And it's probably just because geocoins are typically individual coin or codes that you track and you take around with you. It's not a path tag. Path tags are their own thing, and that would make it more like a path tag, where it's a discoverable that you can collect, not a trackable. So I think that's why it became so confusing. Is
I see where you're going, but I don't know. I think every trackable should have its own code. Well, I mean, okay, so shouldn't I then have
you're saying
multiple stickers or the same number on all my vehicles? So no matter which one I drive to an event, they can log it.
People do that. Vehicle. Yeah, people do that. I don't necessarily think that's so weird. And especially, I've taken the same code to multiple vehicles, but not at the same time.
Like a magnetic.
Well, yeah, not just the magnetics. I've actually, taken the same sticker, had it reprinted, and put it on another car.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, sure.
When car A gets retired and I move to car B, I'll take it off and put it on car B. Originally, when I started doing that, each car had its own trackable, and I never, reused it.
Never the twain shall meet.
Yeah, I had the picture of the car on there, the information, a little bit about the vehicle. This is our caching mobile. I think one of them we even named something, and I put that on the page, that kind of stuff. So it was, for that car. And then I had a magnetic trackable that I would take with me for the events when we flew. So whatever the rental car is, we slap that on there.
Did you ever leave it behind on the rental car?
No, but I did lose it in the move.
Oh.
So I have no idea where it is at this point. And I actually had two different ones, one for GeoGearHeads and one for the car for traveling. Don't know where either one went.
I had a larger.
They were in some box that I can't find.
Yikes. Well, start passing magnets over those boxes and see which one sticks.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would work. Especially because they've been in that box for so long now. Who knows if they're even in one piece? They might have turned into magnetic dust.
I had one of those larger signs for work eons back, and it managed to peel off somewhere on the highway in the wind. That was a shame.
Yeah.
Told my boss, hey, I need another one. What? Those are expensive.
They are expensive, but what are you going to do if it peels off and you don't notice it?
Right. Do you want the advertising, or do you want me to take it off every time I stop?
Well, you take it off every time you drive.
There you go. Put it on every time I stop.
Right. That way it doesn't fly off on the road. That way someone steals it in the parking lot instead.
And cuts it up, and they've got a good number of refrigerator magnets.
Sure. Why not? You can glue your business card to it and hand them out again.
Yes, you can. Okay,
getting back to the discoverables like that, though.
So why is a card, baseball style card, okay to have multiple copies of, but a coin or acrylic Hawaii isn't?
Yeah, and that's kind of my point. Was I just assume that the trading cards are not something that you pass around. Maybe it's because it's the signature item that you're supposed to keep. A coin in a cache you're not supposed to keep. A trading card in a cache is a signature item that you're supposed to keep. It doesn't go to the next cache with you. We've had the calling cards, the business cards. I did some photographs at one point that I used for the same thing. That used to be a thing when we, because you got started a little bit before I did, but when we got started, almost everyone came up with some signature item.
Right.
You know, we had people making little rings, bracelets, little like funny clay figures, that kind of stuff. You know, it was something unique that you put in the cache as yours. They weren't trackable.
Right.
It's just something cool to put in there and keep. So that's my first thought of why it is that way. The other thing is something like a baseball card, a trading card like that, isn't durable. It couldn't survive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's that implied fragility that says this can't be traveler.
And once a business card gets wet, it's mush in the cache, and it's, it ends up creating that, geo junk in the trunk,
Yeah.
in the box, in the container, that is just kind of ruins everything around it. So I'm against leaving a business card type personal item in a cache.
Which I do understand. I think they're kind of cool and I like them if they're done well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the whole thing. It has to be done well. You can't do something that's like an inkjet printed version. Jim Stark says, there it goes. The going caching cards are the geocaching.com's version of path tags.
Yes and no, but they're only going caching. They're not all events. So that's unique to going caching.
There are some other events that have done that and some other non-events that have done the trading cards like that too.
That's true. I think they're stealing from going caching, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I couldn't say who did it first, and I have the feeling, and I can't remember for sure, but I have the feeling that I had seen two people coming up with the same thing roughly the same time. When you could start. Yeah. It was just the right time for that to happen. And I don't think going caching was doing cards. I just don't remember them doing the tracking originally. And I could be wrong with that. But, someone had come up with hey, let's do some cool trading cards for the different cachers. And one of them that I caught, it was someone who was doing it just as fun to, promote the more noted cachers in the area. And they were, putting them out there, and they actually had the tracking codes on it, if I remember, with the better story of what it was about that cacher, why they were, notable cachers in that area, a little bit of a bio kind of thing. And of course, the links to their profile. And then these were at like events or something. And then there was another one, I think it was actually like FTF magazine that had done the trading cards, and they had the tracking numbers as well.
Mm-hmm. All the same?
For one for each version of the card, because printing the unique tracking numbers on paper is not easy.
Right.
So I know how that print process can work. And I know that it's not, really a easy thing to do. And it's not hard to put the numbers on, but it's hard to get, the tracking numbers individually on those cards. You can do, all kinds of other things. And a lot of the printing technologies have gotten to the point where it really isn't so tough to do that, but it does add a lot of extra work and cost to it that you're just not going to do for something like, trading cards that you're printing in the few hundred.
Exactly.
So
certainly, Stanley.
We're still at that same point of why is it acceptable in one mode and not another mode?
Brian says so.
Okay. I'll go with that.
It might just come down to something like that. Brian said so.
Yeah. Well, I do think that there was, some type of internal committee that convened and talked about it and, what's, acceptable and what's not. And it
What's it
might have
all
come
about?
down to as little as the uh, trading cards actually say discover at geocaching.com in nice, big, bright letters that are easy to read. But when it's stamped on that coin, it's much, much smaller and people don't really necessarily notice. So it could be that easy. And Brylang says, Geo Woodstock 18's site is safe from the massive ongoing flooding disaster occurring in Abbotsford, BC. Metro Vancouver remains cut off from the rest of Canada, but hopefully only until Sunday.
Yeah. So, we got some rain here. Nothing like what they got north of us here. They're in a prairie there, which is actually an old lake, a century ago. It's dried out. Well, it's refilled. And they have feet, they would use some sort of version of meter of water, standing water. I mean, there's shots of highways where the overpasses are the only thing sticking up.
Wow.
It's just, so much water came so quickly. It's inconceivable. And yes,
it has really been a very bizarre year for weather.
Mm-hmm. It's because we're all home with nothing else to do.
Yes, because everyone's working from home.
Mm-hmm.
That must be it. Everyone get back in your cars and go to work so that the climate can get, more predictably unstable, I guess. I don't know. But Brellig says we had almost a whole month's worth of rain in 48 hours. Mm-hmm. And it's not a dry region, because you'll hear that for some of those dry regions who also have problems, but nothing like that flooding because a month's worth of rain is, an inch or two.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So around here, we had some standing water, which we had difficulty getting rid of, but eventually did. And, it's just, it's terrible, just terrible where they are.
All right. Getting back to the trackables though, we've talked about putting the trackables on cars and whatnot. And I did mention in previous shows that we actually put it on our camera for the vlogging. So
it's upside down.
It is upside down.
There you go.
Yeah, it is upside down when you look at it because it's intended, when the screen flips out and we flip it around to vlog mode, now it's going to be the right side up.
Gotcha.
Or if we're just walking around with the camera, it's, usually down like this. So in most cases, it's right side up. But it's a handy way to get that tracking number out. You can put it on backpacks. You can do all kinds of stuff like that. And hats were a popular one. But anytime you get one of these tracking codes in anything, you can just go and put that on anything you want. But you do want to make sure that it says discover at geocaching.com somewhere on there so that people will understand what it is. That really does help.
Exactly. You're going to see the 6-digit code and go, I don't know what that means. Geocachers
are going to try it.
Geocachers are, yes.
Yeah.
I've sat behind a license plate looking at those numbers and thinking, they're trying to spell something out there. What are they trying to spell? I can't make it out, but that's just an odd combination of numbers or letters there that it's got to mean something.
We were behind a SUV the other day coming off the freeway, and we're like, that's 6 letters and numbers. That looks like it could be a tracking code. So, of course, we tried it, and it wasn't. Oh. So we're pretty sure it was someone's ham call sign. But it's one of those, as geocachers, we have to try it.
Did it start with a W or a K?
No.
Then it's not. Well, I think it has to for a ham call sign. Start with a W or a K.
I thought there was another one, and that's part of why I got confused. I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was like a B,
I
but
don't think so.
I don't remember.
Not in the US.
Well, that could be too, is that it's not, well, no, because did have Michigan plates. But in any case, it's like we just instinctively try it.
Starcasher says, I still have my Mary Hyde trackable code that I've never used yet.
Yep. Oh, Bryling says that ham call signs in Canada usually start with a V, I think. That actually makes a lot of sense because, I had B stuck in my head. I think I probably was thinking V. And I seem to remember it starting with a V. So it probably was a Canadian
ham
vehicle. Yeah.
That's they call it Canadian bacon.
All right.
It took you a minute there. It's just ham, but they call it Canadian bacon.
No, I was just letting that sit. Just
oh, I'm ornery. But you've expected that as much.
Yeah, but like Starcasher says, he still hasn't used the Mary Hyde trackable code for anything. And yeah, prints up something, if you wanted to. And one of the things I thought about with the Mary Hyde was doing my own like calling cards, grab some of the off-brand business card stock for your printer, print a whole bunch of codes on those with something cool, my favorite saying. You don't want to necessarily do a photo, which is what I always go to. But you don't want to necessarily do a photo on those. But something cool to drop in a cache and say I was here. And like you, I was saying I don't want to put that low quality stuff into a cache. So I never ended up doing anything with it either. But I kept wanting to do something with it. And I thought at one point, until we got the vinyl stickers on the windows that came off in the car wash, I was actually thinking about putting it on the door, kind of like the pilots do, the fighter pilots. That I thought would be cool and creepy, but fun if it would work. And what we learned is if you're going through a car wash, it's not going to work.
How often do you go through a car wash? No more than once a week. You've got a Cricut. Just keep reprinting them.
I actually go through usually more than once a week.
Oh,
the dog loves the car wash.
Oh, so you're doing it for the dog, not for the car?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I go through once a week for the car. The extra times, it's to keep the dog happy. It's a thing with our dog. If I'm home from work, and this is one of the reasons I don't like working from home, but if I'm home from work for a day and we're here, come lunchtime, he's bothering me to go to the car wash. And of course, we have to occasionally go to the fast food Mexican place and get a side of chicken for him. Yes, he's very spoiled.
Spoiled dog.
They give him the doggy cookies out the window too sometimes. He's just happy for the attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, this actually went really fast, and I'm not sure we actually got much accomplished, but it is about that time that we should wrap up the show.
Okay, so for our next time we talk about trackables, I want to know from our listeners, from you, right there, what do you do with your geocoins? Do you display them? Do you keep them in a shoebox? Do you, I don't know, sell them on eBay? What do you do with your geocoins? You got to let us know.
Yeah, or do you not collect them at all?
Oh.
Because I do know people who aren't into geocoins, and if they get any of them, they, put them out. They're not into having the collection. People like us, on the other hand, who, put them on every show, have vast collections of them.
What do you mean?
I have multiple boxes. What, your invisible ones?
My invisible ones, yes.
Yes.
Catch it in the light just right.
But yeah, let us know at GeoGearHeads@CacheManiacs.com. Again, that's a little slower so people can actually, catch what I said. GeoGearHeads at cachemaniacs.com. But we're also asking for anyone who might have submitted a Geocaching International Film Festival film to get in touch with us that didn't have it accepted, because we're kind of curious what those stories are. And, if you've got it out there, we want to take a look at that film still.
Mm-hmm.
So again, email us at geogearheads at cachemaniacs.com. We'll be happy to share the link on the show as well. But if we can find a few people who have done that, I'd like to get a show together and talk about that experience. However, It's not going to be next week.
It could be next week, Darryl.
It won't be next week. We hope to hear from them next week, but it's not going to be next week because we're taking next week off for the, I better actually say the American or the United States Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Because it's not Thanksgiving anywhere else in the world that I know of, but it's definitely not the Canadian Thanksgiving.
Nope, that happened in October.
Right. That like fake version of Thanksgiving.
Ouch.
And you know why it's fake? Because there's no Black Friday.
Oh yeah, they don't know about Black Friday.
No, they know about Black Friday.
Oh, they know about it, but they don't know it right after Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah. So it can't be the real Thanksgiving because, the real Thanksgiving is followed by Black Friday. So send all your hate mail to GeoGearHeads at cachemaniacs.com.
Care of Darryl W4. Make sure you put that name in there. I had nothing to do with this.
So, yeah, Jay, I had nothing to do with this.
Oh, hey, until 2 weeks from now, check the Cachemaniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes from this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing geogearheads at cachemaniacs.com or through the many channels of social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachemaniacs shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Chris Umfenauer and Darryl Wattenberg. The show's copyright 2021 by Darryl Wattenberg. All rights reserved.